Hello, and welcome to our Tuesdays yoga class. I'm just getting my music queued up here. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I'm so excited to be sharing this practice with y'all today. I just finished doing a gentle flow practice for an organization that I work with, and I so love doing that practice. Today we're going to work on a little bit of building up some heat in the body and then working on some modifications of our poses. So we'll be getting nice and warm in our bodies, and then we're going to cool down. Not cool down, but when we're nice and warm, we're going to hold the poses for a little bit longer than normal, and we are going to take that opportunity to tune into our bodies and see how we're feeling in the pose and if we need to make any minor adjustments. So we'll be holding them for a little bit longer, and we are going to be using the warrior flow, the warrior poses in our examples for modifications. So if you have blocks or if you have any props that you would like to utilize during this class, I highly recommend that you grab them now. I rearranged my space, so if this is your first time tuning in, this is probably like nothing exciting, but I moved furniture around, and so there's a different background behind me, sort of, kind of, but anyway, that's not really that important. But I thought I'd share it just because I'm super excited about the fact that I got to move things around. All right, let us begin. I am going to do my usual card pulling trick to see what our focus will be on, what our manifestation will be for our practice today. I'm trying to decide also, and maybe you guys can let me know, this impromptu talking. I can decide today to recalibrate my energy and commit to love and joy. That's a perfect card. So I can decide today to recalibrate my energy and commit to love and joy. Part of being present and being in our practice is being able to commit to the present, to being in the moment and where we are. And one of the things I love the most about practicing and sharing yoga is that aspect of practice is we oftentimes get stuck looking into the future, or we get stuck reflecting on the past. But the true magic, the true changes, the true inspiration can happen in the moment. And if we can find love and joy in those moments, then we will find so much more in the universe, so much more available to us to expand and grow. So I decide today to recalibrate my energy and commit to love and joy. Let's go ahead and come to standing mountain pose. Feet hips distance apart. And just closing our eyes right off the start as we're settling in and creating that strong foundation under our feet, creating that spinal alignment, that length, that inner core connection. Beginning to build deeper breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, or through the nose. As we're closing our eyes and building that connection, building that stability and that strength in our stance, just taking our minds to a place or an image that represents love, and now taking our minds to a place or an image that represents joy. as we begin our practice, and if during practice we notice our minds begin to wander to thoughts like, I used to be able to do this. There was a time when I could do so much more with my body. Or if I keep trying harder, next time I come to practice, I will be able to do this. If we find our minds are wandering to places and thoughts that are very similar, they don't have to be those exact thoughts. See if we can bring back to that image or that place that represents love, that place or that image that represents joy. And let's begin to move. Inhaling, arms reach up. Exhale, press the air down beside us. Inhaling, arms reach. Exhaling, arms press. Just going to do this 5 more times. Inhaling. Expand and lengthen. Exhale, press. Wherever we are in our count, let's all do 1 more. And we'll meet in our standing mountain pose. And then from here, we're going to prepare for our flying birds. We're going to start by just opening up the heart. Inhale, open. Exhale, we're just going to bring palms together at heart center. Then inhale, open. Exhale, palms together. So just imagining we're like a bird opening and spreading our wings. Exhale, we bring the wings back together. So we're just going to do that 3 more times. Inhale, opening our wings. Exhale, pressing, bringing the wings back together. Inhale, open. Exhale, press. 1 more. Inhale, open. Exhale, press. Now we're just going to add in. So we're going to continue this movement with our arms. And we're just going to add in a step back. So we're just going to step 1 foot back as we open. Then as we come together, bring the foot back to the top. Inhale, open, step the opposite foot back. Exhale, step the foot to the top, bring palms together. Inhale, opposite foot steps back. So we're just alternating side to side, stepping back as we open our wings and soar. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, open, step back. Exhale, step forward, palms together. We can add a little bit more to this if we'd like to. Maybe we give ourselves a hug. Inhale, open. Exhale, big hug. Inhale, open. Exhale, big hug. We're going to be here for a while. So now let's add in, whether we're hugging or just bringing hands to heart center. We're going to add a little chair here. Exhale, chair. Inhale, open. We can stay low in this and just come into chair. If we want to stay standing with a smaller step back, we can. If our wings are getting tired, we can always bring hands to hips and just continue stepping back, or just take that standing mountain pose. The tendency might be to speed up, but I encourage us to stay in the moment, to stay with the breath, filling up our lungs, warming up the body, and just creating a flow. Finding in our mind's eye that place of joy and love. We are coming from a place of love in this movement, and by expressing love, we're also honoring the fact that my shoulders are a little tired, I'm just going to step back right now, or my legs are tired, I'm just going to move my arms because I love myself. And one of the ways that I express that self-love is by allowing myself modifications as needed, because I live in the moment. And I didn't get a great sleep last night. Or I pulled a lot of weeds in the garden. So maybe our shoulders are a little bit more tired than everyone else's. So see how we went into the past and brought it right back into the present. Let's do one more on each side. Last one. Inhale, extended mountain. We're going to fold here. Soft knees, forward fold, nice flat spine. Head hangs. Chair pose. Arms can extend overhead or rest at heart center. Inhale, extended mountain. Standing mountain. So in our standing mountain pose, let's just roll the shoulders, maybe shake any tension that might have been created in that movement out of the shoulders. We're going to go through our first round of sun salutations. We're going to hold each pose in this first round for 3 breaths. Inhaling, arms reach. Exhale, forward fold. Hold here. Inhale, it's halfway lift monkey pose. Flatten the spine, lengthening through the crown of the head to the tailbone. Weights shifting back towards the heels. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. On our next exhale, bringing hands firmly to the mat. Bend the knees as much as we need to. Then step one foot back, then the other, coming into plank. We have options here. Lower one knee, both knees, or lower in full plank all the way through chaturanga. Toes point back, shoulders roll back, squeeze the elbows in, squeeze the knees. Now squeeze the glutes. Take a nice big breath in. And as we breathe in, feeling the body begin to lift up off the mat. Breathe and hold this cobra, baby cobra. On our next exhale, we'll tuck the toes, pressing up and back to downward facing dog. We can keep knees really bent, heels lift. When we press the hips back, we can start to straighten the legs, heels towards the mat. And let's go ahead and for this first round, let's just baby step the feet to the top of the mat. So baby step, coming all the way up to the top, forward fold. Chair pose. Extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. And if you've been practicing with me for a while, you know there's the option to lift the leg and step through for high lunge and then crescent. And then come to that forward fold, which you have that option. Let's inhale, monkey pose, halfway lift. Whoo, breathe, relax, and release, letting go. But just for today, if it feels good, just do the modified version. Exhale, hands come firmly to the mat, stepping back to our plank. Holding here, 2 more breaths. And then we'll lower through chaturanga all the way down to the mat in control. Find that strong foundation as we inhale to cobra. Breathe and let go. Squeeze the glutes. If we're feeling any discomfort in the lower back, that can be an indicator that we're not activating the core and we're not squeezing the glutes. Tuck the toes. Downward facing dog. We can either step that left foot through for high lunge, or we can walk the hands back, coming into a forward fold. So hands come towards the feet. Forward fold. And breathe. Chair pose. Finding whichever version works in our bodies today. Either arms extend or hands to heart center. Extend, extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Head hang. And monkey pose on the inhale. Exhale, walking our hands forward, either down dog or just go right into our plank. But eventually all meeting in our plank. Exhale, lower all the way through chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Toes tuck, downward facing dog. Baby step the feet to the top of the mat. Or step through, high lunge, crescent lunge, and then forward fold. Chair pose, and extended mountain, and standing mountain. Awesome. So I'm just going to do one full round, where we have that option to step through. Now, if you don't want to step through, then go ahead and just continue baby stepping the feet and then baby step the hands. We're all going to wind up in the same place. Take a nice full breath in. Reach arms up overhead, extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to monkey pose. Exhale, stepping back to plank. Exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Downward facing dog. We have the option to walk the hands back, coming into a forward fold, or we can lift that right leg, step through high lunge. Inhale, come to our crescent. Exhale, shift forward, back foot stepping up, forward fold. Whoop. There goes my mic. And then reverse up, coming into extended mountain. Now, if you walked your hands back, you're at the back of the mat. The rest of us are at the top of our mats, which is okay, because we're all going to be back here at the top in the end. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to monkey. Exhale, hands come to the mat, stepping back to plank. Lower through chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Downward facing dog. We can either baby step the feet to the top of the mat or lift the left leg, step through high lunge. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, shift our weight forward, back foot steps up, forward fold. Chair pose. Inhale to extend. Exhale, hands down by our sides. We're just going to build on to those movements as we drift into some more flow. One breath, one movement. Inhaling, arms reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to monkey. Exhale, hands to the mat, stepping back to plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, toes tuck. Downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Or walk the hands to the back of the mat. Exhale, step through high lunge. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, we all meet in forward fold. Inhale to chair. Inhale, extended mountain. Exhale, fold. Inhale to monkey. Plank. Lower. Cobra or up dog. Downward facing dog. Left leg lifts. Or we baby step the feet to the top of the mat. Crescent. We all meet in forward fold. Chair pose. Extended mountain. And standing mountain. Another version of this sequence that we can embrace. I'm going to try not to forget as we're moving through. So just listen to the cueing. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale to monkey. Exhale, hands come to the mat. We're going to step back to plank, downward facing dog. And then from here, we can walk the hands forward, back, or walk the feet forward, or we can lift the leg and step through. High lunge, crescent lunge, forward fold, chair pose, and extend. So we can skip the chaturanga altogether if we want to. Just know that you'll be needing to move a little bit slower if you want to keep pace with everyone else, or those that choose to do that chaturanga. Inhale, arms reach up. So that's an option. Just wanted to show. Exhale, fold. Inhale to monkey. Exhale, hands to the mat, stepping back to plank. This is where you have that option. Downward facing dog. Or flow through that chaturanga. Left leg lifts. Step through high lunge. Crescent lunge. Shifting forward into a forward fold. Chair pose. Extended mountain. All kinds of options. Standing mountain pose. Now we're going to hold each pose for 5 to 8 breaths. Arms extend. As we're extending the arms, let's check in with the feet. Are my feet connected and solid on the mat? And then pressing in. Is my belly pulling into the spine, or am I pushing my belly button out? Are my shoulders relaxed down? On our next exhale, let's all bend the knees as we fold forward in this nice, easy forward fold. Holding here in this forward fold, imagining we're externally rotating the heels, so we're pressing the heels to the outer edges of the mat, and then opening, internally rotating the hips. We're trying to shine the inner thighs to the back of our mat, and lifting our tailbone to the sky. Head reaching towards the mat. And then on our next inhale, halfway lift, monkey pose. Shifting weight into the heels. If you're a weightlifter and you do deadlifts, this is where the same position that you would be in to prepare for a deadlift. Shoulders engaged, spine engaged, muscles along the spine engaged, inner core engaged, really loading up those hamstrings. And then from here, hands come firmly to the mat, stepping back to our plank. In our plank pose, we have options. We can always bring both knees to the mat, just one knee, or remain in full plank. Again, being in the present. Maybe with the beginning of practice, we could hold full plank for 5 breaths, but after all that arm work, maybe our shoulders are a little tired. So maybe we modify, and that's okay. Exhale, lower. Inhale, we're going to come into our cobra pose. We're all going to go into cobra today. So in our cobra, hands are right about chest height. We squeeze the elbows towards the midline And then drop the shoulders down, almost like someone has a hold of our elbows and they're sitting at our ankles and they're pulling our elbows towards our hips. And it naturally lifts us up, but our hearts are trying to reach forward. Super active core. Lower body is engaged and grounded into the mat, allowing for that freedom of the upper body. Fingers are spread. And then we'll tuck the toes. Let's press up onto our knees, onto all fours almost. So toes are tucked. And then from here, using the core, just lift our hips up and back into that downward facing dog position. Again, knees can be really bent, heels lifted, or we can start to work the heels towards the mat. Breathe. And then from here, we have options. We can inhale, extend that right leg straight back. Or we can baby step the feet forward or walk the hands to the back of the mat. Step through high lunge. Holding this high lunge, keeping that nice length through the spine, through the crown of the head. Knees stacked over the ankle. Toes are light. So if our toes are digging into the mat, we need to shift our weight back into that back heel, that heel a little bit more. And then from here, we're going to reach behind us as if we're grabbing a net, and we're going to cast the net out into the sea, and arms reach up overhead. Breathe. Here, back heel is lifted. Feeling open in the back of the thigh. Some modifications in this pose. We could lower that back knee down. Supported crescent lunge. Another option, if we want to keep the knee lifted, is we can always bring hands onto the hips or onto the front of the thigh. And we just breathe. The other things to consider here are pulling our knees towards each other and sinking into this pose. Breathe. On our next exhale, we're going to shift our weight forward, stepping our back foot up, forward fold. Chair pose. Extended mountain. Finding that strong extended mountain. Inner core is pulling in. Oblique muscles lengthening us out. Breathing into the rib cage as we expand open. One of our breaths, let's open, be big through our shoulders. And let's go ahead and fold. Again, inner thigh pressing to the back of the mat. Letting the head hang. Crown of the head reaching towards the floor. Weights in our heels. Or primarily in our heels. And breathe. We can grab elbows to add a little bit more traction. On our next inhale, halfway lift, monkey pose. Lengthening the spine, shoulders back, crown of the head reaching long, tailbone pressing to the back of the mat. On our next exhale, hands come firmly to the mat, stepping one foot back, then the other, plank pose. Just holding this plank. Again, modify as we need to. One knee or both knees to the mat. And breathe. If you can get away with just one knee, we'll experience a little bit more core engagement and a little bit more true alignment to a full plank. As we lower through chaturanga, elbows brush the rib cage all the way down to the mat. Toes point back, shoulders roll back, squeeze the elbows in, squeeze the knees, squeeze the glutes. Take a nice big breath in, only lifting as far as we do with the breath, and then allowing ourselves to sink back on the exhale. This time, inhale, lifting with the breath, and feel how that lengthens us out, and then we lift with the spinal muscles, bringing us into that baby cobra, only using spinal muscles and the breath. On our next exhale, toes tuck, pressing ourselves up onto our knees, and then lifting our hips into that downward facing dog. Breathe. Left leg extends. Exhale, we'll step through high lunge. Holding here, finding that strong foundation. Pull the knees towards each other so hips are square to the front of the mat. Crown of the head lengthening out from the spine, from the tailbone. Feeling strong in the core as we inhale into that crescent lunge. Breathe. As we're sinking down, we're pulling the knees towards each other. Creating the strength in this openness that we are developing in our bodies. Exhale, let's shift our weight forward, back foot steps up, forward fold. Chair pose. Extended mountain. And standing mountain. Just finding our standing mountain pose and just pausing here for a few breaths and just noticing any shifts that may have happened in the body or any new sensations. Noticing the heat we've generated. Relax the shoulders. Maybe do a couple of neck rolls. Now we're going to go into those warrior poses as promised. I got a little stuck on sun salutations, but it's good to learn some of those modifications so we can take care of ourselves in our practice, knowing how we can pull back a little bit or push and work a little harder when we need to. So that standing mountain pose, bringing hands to our hips, shifting weight into the left, lifting the right heel, and we're just going to step back, short stance. So it doesn't have to be one of those deep step backs, just a small step back. And from here, I'm going to make sure I'm square to the camera. So we're stepping back, keeping that alignment, that hips distance alignment with our feet. And then from here in the short stance, we're just going to lower the back heel. Front knee bends. And then we're just going to play with our shoulders a little bit, and we're just going to lean forward, just nice and slow. Notice what happens in the front foot. Notice what happens in the back foot. And now we're just going to gently lean back. And notice what happens in the back foot and knee and front knee and foot. And notice how our back feels in this position. And I'll see if we can find somewhere in between. So this is a short stance warrior one. In a short stance warrior one, we can keep our hips square to the front of the mat. Now, if I were to take this deeper, to a deeper stance, my hips open a little bit more because of my knee. I'm trying to keep my knee safe. Now, if I were to be okay with just wrenching my knee, I could totally get my hips square to the front. But we don't want to do that. We want to protect our joints, especially our knees. Keeping that front knee tracking with the toes. So notice also how my heel kind of disappeared behind my front leg. So that's when we have that hip distance alignment. So you can see my heel. Now it's gone. So again, just paying attention. Arms in Warrior One are generally overhead. Is it necessary? No. So some arm positions overhead. We can have our arms open a little bit out to the side. We can have them a little bit forward or straight up overhead. It all just depends on how our bodies are made, our shoulders. So from here, we're going to transition into Warrior Two. So Warrior Two, front knees tracking with the toes. We're opening up the hips. So watch this front knee. As I open up my hips, if I get really flat on my hips, my knee is collapsing in. But I want to take care of this front knee most of all. So even if that means closing my hips a little bit more towards the front of the mat. Lengthening through the spine, arms extend out. So there are some options here in our Warrior Two as well. I'm going to show you from this angle. So this would be a deeper Warrior Two. Now we can also take a short stance Warrior Two. This is just as good. It's just as much benefit. Just showing that we're honoring our bodies in the moment. And we can still do those flows that we do in class. Breathe. Now going into a reverse warrior, I'm going to show us from this angle. So in a reverse warrior, usually we reach forward and then I have us lift. And the reason why is because if I were to go from here into reverse, notice the difference. So if we reach forward, we create this length from the hip to the armpit on this side, and then we lift it up, and that keeps us aligned here as opposed to just going straight. Now look where my head is. So that's part of the reason. It's just training us to keep this alignment. Reverse warrior. And then bringing ourselves back into Warrior Two. And then from here, we bring ourselves back into that Warrior One. And then step the heel up. And then come back into Standing Mountain Pose. And then we'll just do the other side, and then we'll make our way down to the mat, remembering those modifications as we move through this flow. So Standing Mountain Pose, shift weight into the right leg, step the left foot back, high lunge, holding here. Again, we have that option to extend arms up overhead or keep hands on our hips. Making the weight of the shoulders directly over the hips instead of going too far back or too far forward. That way we have that equal weight distribution in the front and back part of our feet. And now we'll open, dropping into Warrior One. So shoulders stay square to the front of the mat. We're just dropping that heel. As we open into our Warrior Two, just remembering to maintain that knee alignment with the toes. Also remember we can shorten our stance. We can take a short stance Warrior One as well. Just breathing. Opening up Warrior Two. Adjusting our stance and our feet any way that we need to. Lifting up through the midline, shoulders still stacked over the hips. Breathe. From here, we're going to flow into reverse warrior. So again, from Warrior Two, so back to Warrior Two, we're going to reach forward and then lift from there straight up to the sky. So we really feel it in that front edge of the body. Breathing. Exhale back to warrior two. Warrior one. Lifting that back heel. And then let's shift our weight forward, coming to that standing mountain pose. Relax the shoulders down. We're going to make our way onto our mats. Inhaling, arms reach up. Exhale, fold. Hands firmly to the mat as we step back to our plank. Coming to all fours. Knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. Preparing now for a cat-cow. Exhale, curl the tailbone, chin tucks, round the spine. Feeling that openness in the spine, the back of the neck, between the shoulder blades. 2 more breaths here. Just exploring this pose, exploring our bodies in this shape. On our next inhale, shoulders roll back. Heart shines forward, tailbone lifts. Cow pose. Eyes can be opened or closed. Shoulders relaxed, down and away from the ears. Exhale back into cow, back into cat. And then we'll just flow between cat and cow. So exhale to cat, inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cow. And just flow with the breath. Let's do 3 more of each. Ending with a cow pose. Let's all meet in child's pose, either wide knee child's pose or knees together. We can stack fists, let the head rest on the fist or backs of the hands, or just let the head rest on the mat. Let's come back to all fours, bring the feet around front. Coming into our butterfly, bottoms of the feet together. Knees open out to the side, legs making a diamond shape. Sitting up nice and tall through the spine. You can have fingertips resting behind so we can keep that nice long spine. We can have hands on shins. We can also take a little forward fold. And just remembering our place of love and joy. And slowly making our way back up. Bring the knees together. We're going to just do a nice supine hip opener, figure 4. So we're coming onto our backs, arms out to the side. And just cross the the left leg over the right. We're going to do both sides, so it doesn't really matter. And just go ahead and just rock side to side. So we're not really going for a really deep stretch here. Just loosening up the hips, just releasing out any residual tension we may have created in our practice today, while helping improve our range of motion just a little bit more. Nice slow movement side to side. And remember to breathe. And let's go ahead and find center, stop moving. And we'll just, if we want a little bit more stretch in that hip, we can go a little bit deeper. Make sure that foot is flexed, knees open out to the side. We can lift the knee off the mat and just use our own muscular strength to perform this, We can interlace fingers behind the knee, just as long as we can still relax the shoulders down. If we find that we're rounding up in order to grab, we want to maybe use a strap or a little bit of assistance in this pose. Then go ahead and relax the foot down, uncross the legs, maybe windshield wiper the knees side to side. And we'll switch sides, crossing the opposite leg over, and then we're just going to externally rotate that hip, knee opens out to the side, foot is flexed, so toes towards the shins. And again, I'm just going to gently rock side to side. Hopefully releasing out any tension we may have built up in the hips. Just releasing the lower back. Breathe. And just settling in. If we want to take a little deeper stretch, we can, or we can just hang out here. If we want to go a little deeper, we can lift the heel off the mat and lift the toes. We can just lift the knee, the foot off the mat, or we can interlace the fingers behind the knee, keeping the tailbone rooted down. And then whenever we're ready, relax the foot down, uncross the legs, windshield wiper the knees. Breathe. And we're just going to do a supine butterfly, reclined butterfly. So bringing the bottoms of the feet together, let the feet drift away from the groin. We're going to take the hands into the hip crease and gently press into the hip crease. A little decompression in the lower back, in the hips. Just breathe and release. And then slowly bring the knees back together. We're going to take the feet wide on our mats, and then just letting the outer edge of the feet pick up as we internally rotate those thighs and bring the knees towards each other. If we feel any discomfort in the knees, just bring the feet a little bit closer together, or just skip this completely. All we're doing is just working on that internal rotation. If you're lucky enough to have really good internal rotation, you can keep walking your feet out just as long as you're not tweaking the knees and it's all happening with the hips. And then whenever we're ready, releasing out, and just shake the hips side to side and hug both knees in. Maybe rock side to side. Release the feet down to the mat. Arms open to the side. And we're just going to let the knees fall to one side. Easy twist. And then to the other side. And bring the knees back to center. Preparing now for relaxation. A couple of options. We can use a bolster and place a bolster under the knees as we extend the legs. We can just extend the legs. We can place a rolled up towel or blanket underneath the back of the neck for a little bit of support there. Tuck the shoulders. We can have the knees bent. Rest the hands on the torso. Just finding whatever position helps us feel relaxed, like we can just release and surrender into the mat. As we're settling in and finding that position, just beginning to take some nice deep breaths. Nice calming, relaxing breaths. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Let's bring your mind back to those places, back to those images that represent love and that represent joy. If they've changed, it is okay. We're a little different now than we were at the beginning of our practice. And then just reflecting on our practice for a moment. In what ways did I honor my body today and express love for myself? In what ways did I express joy in my practice? Now just letting ourselves drift off into a complete relaxed state. Taking nice deep breaths. And now letting the awareness of the breath begin to drift as we no longer force an inhale or an exhale. If you would like to, continue into this relaxation for a little bit longer. We can slowly begin to make our way out of relaxation and bring awareness back into the room, making our way comfortably to a seat. However, if you have the time and the ability to stay, I highly recommend that you stay. Remembering that we can decide at any point to recalibrate our energy and commit to love. and joy. Thank you so much for being here. Have an amazing rest of your day.